Good afternoon. My name is Lucas Brown, and I'm on the Vancouver Startup Week team. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that we are grateful to be virtually gathered on Indigenous land, regardless of where you are joining us from. I'm grateful to be on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish peoples. I am privileged to live, work, and play on these lands. First, I'd like to thank you for joining us for VSW 2021 and welcome you to the Healthy Food Revolution, How a Focus on Health Can Drive Your Startup to the Top, brought to us by Drew Monroe from UpMeals. This session is part of the VSW Founder Track and is proudly supported by Sage Accounting. Sage knows you didn't start your business to become an accountant. Very sorry for any accountants out there. Sage Accounting keeps your business organized and running smoothly. Track your cash flow, send out invoices, and get paid quickly. Visit the Sage Accounting booth for access to free guides and templates for starting your business finances right away. Please also get an exclusive VSW discount if you're ready to switch from Excel. During the session, if you have any questions for our speaker, please post them in the Q&A in the HOVA session. You can also upvote questions. With that, I'd like to now pass it over to Drew from UpMeals.
Hi, thank you so much for that introduction. It's fantastic to be here at Vancouver Startup Week again. My name is Drew Monroe. I am the co-founder and CEO of UpMeals. We're a food technology company right here in Vancouver. And today we're talking about the healthy food revolution and how a focus on health can drive your startup to the top. First and foremost, it's inspiring to see all the amazing startups here this week. If you're working for a startup or any company, really, I am sure that at some point, you've rallied the team together to do world-changing work. You've ordered in lunch or dinner for everyone to enjoy and start getting super pumped to solve big problems. And then something like this arrives. So on the surface, that's not such a bad decision, right? It's fast, it's affordable, and pretty much everybody likes pizza. And at the start, everyone actually is super pumped. This pizza is delicious. But fast forward 2 hours, and how is all that world-changing work going? Well, it's probably going something like this after 4 slices of pepperoni mushroom. So my goal here today is to show you that even if you are a bootstrapped startup, it is never too early to start building a culture of healthy eating and how it will drive success at any level to your organization. So let's start with the current state. There is some good news here, and that is that almost 60% of employers have some sort of a well-being initiative at the workplace. So this could be everything from a company volleyball team to a running club. But the bad news is that a nutritional element of that program is really present in only about 16% of companies. So why is this important? Well, the actual impacts of poor nutrition are 3 times greater than the impacts of low fitness. So why is this so important at work? And why does healthy eating matter so much in the workplace? Well, there's one really big reason. There's been a ton of research done that demonstrates that our eating habits are highly influenced by the environments in which we inhabit and the people that we're with. We spend nearly half of our waking hours working or doing work-related things. And if you're a startup, it's probably actually a lot higher than that. And our decisions are influenced by these environments. So what that means is, it's actually not just enough to do this in our own time, aside from work. Nutritional culture actually needs to enter the work environment. So what are the risks if you decide to put this off and don't build this type of culture into your organization at an early stage or any stage? Well, you risk your organization and your employees entering into this vicious cycle. So what you can see is that each of these behaviors feeds into each other, and they create a self-defeating cycle for the organization and its employees. Poor nutrition results in poor health. Lack of energy equals a lower learning potential equals lower production. This results in higher costs in healthcare and other economic areas. Lower wages, since you're simply not performing and adding enough value to the company to earn your fair wage, which then leads to poor nutrition, and the cycle begins all over again. This is why it's so important, whether you have 2 or 2,000 employees, to be considering nutritional elements in the workplace. So let's take a look now at an example day, and tell me if this resonates with anybody, either as an employer or an employee. So let's examine a typical day and tell me if this is familiar to you. So it's 8 o'clock in the morning, right? The morning begins in a frenzy. Maybe you miss the alarm. You're a little bit late for work, so you don't have time for breakfast. So you throw back some coffee and you bolt out the door. It's 8:30. You're arriving at your desk just on time. You're sipping your coffee and you're checking your schedule. You're stacked today, tons of meetings, and you realize that a healthy lunch out of the office where you can relax and enjoy just might not be in the cards. It's now 10 a.m. You're attending your first meetings. This one's going long. It's probably going to run till 11:30, but someone was kind enough to bring in a plate of pastries or treats. So you eat a Danish or a macaron. Then you head back to your desk right at lunchtime. The meeting ran long. You're now behind on your work. You realize there's only a short time for lunch before your next meeting, so you hit that old trusty vending machine in the office, or maybe you grab something unhealthy nearby, and you settle on chips, an oatmeal cookie, and an energy drink to try to boost that energy level for the rest of the day. Let's look at what the afternoon looks like. Spoiler alert, it's not much better. You arrive at your next meeting. Your manager was kind enough to bring in coffee and Timbits as an appreciation of their hard work. You're tempted, but you just settle for more coffee. It's now in the afternoon. The meetings are still going on. Your Timbits are dwindling. You give in, you grab 2 Timbits for yourself just to have anything. And then the meeting finally ends. You make your way back to your desk and it's time to catch up on work. By late afternoon, you're hitting that 3 p.m. wall. You're feeling sluggish. You're heading to the vending machine and you think, oh, there's orange juice in there. Maybe I'll get that. That's sort of healthy, right? And then at 4:30 p.m., with your day sort of winding down, you're feeling drained, both physically and mentally. You initially planned on picking up groceries on the way home, but to be honest, you just don't feel like it. So you decide to order some takeout or get a meal delivery app, and you're going to go shopping another day. So why is it urgent? If that slide didn't build enough urgency into why we need to solve this as an organization and for the employees within that organization, let's have a look. It's been very well documented that the benefits of good nutrition are both at the employee and the employer level. The numbers are actually staggering, whether it's any size of operation. So if you're eating 5 or more servings of fruits or vegetables, it's a 25% higher per job performance ability than those that don't. And similarly, employees with unhealthy diets are actually significantly more likely to report difficulties with productivity and efficiency at work than those who consume healthy, balanced diets. And there's more. As it pertains to the employers, there's a study done at the Harvard School of Nutrition that stated a lot of the most commonly stated reasons for productivity loss at work by employees include chronic conditions. And these are things such as obesity, arthritis, anxiety, and depression. And these are all of which have been shown to be scientifically improved by eating a healthy, balanced diet. So that equates North American employers to losing 28 million workdays a year due to these functional limitations, or $5 billion in income from sick days. So again, what is this in dollars and cents? What is it costing you and your company if things go from bad to worse? If you have employees who are not engaged, not feeling great, not feeling motivated physically, and they end up leaving to go to work for some company that does provide them with these options to help support them, well, the costs are significant. So on average, between $45,000 and $150,000 to replace an employee. And this is all of the onboarding costs, all of the resources that go into the recruitment process. I don't need to tell startups or large organizations how difficult it can be to find and retain and attract that top talent that we're all looking for. On average, 8 months is the time it takes for a new hire to be a productive, high-performing team member. That's beyond the onboarding process. And your employees are looking. 51% of employees are looking actively for new opportunities, even while engaged in a job that they say that they like. So let's look now at how food contributes to the culture. So we have a concept called the employee positivity factor. Now, on the surface, this appears to be some sort of a corporate buzzword. It's not. This was actually a model created by Dr. Jennifer Schaefer that captures the myriad of benefits of employee well-being beyond the dollars and cents that we just explained in the previous slides. So the point is that current ROI calculations on this investment in healthy eating are just scratching the surface. Think of it this way. Consider the difference between an employee who just rolls out of bed and comes to work versus one who eats a healthy, balanced breakfast and exercises. Exercise and a balanced breakfast help produce natural opiates and endorphins, increasing energy, enhancing mood, and promoting overall wellness. So while the savings created by reduced healthcare costs translates to an impressive ROI, there are these intangible benefits of improving employees' general well-being that should not be overlooked. And in case you aren't sold on these initiatives, let me show you potentially the most high-value example of this in action, potentially in business history. Who can tell me what these 4 movies have in common? Well, there's actually a few things. So let's see if we can get them all. So let's start with an easy one. These are all movies that were created by Pixar. Did you know that each of these movies was nominated for an Academy Award? Did you know that each of these movies grossed each more than $350 million worldwide? And there may be one more that you might not know. And that's that each of these 4 movies were actually conceptualized during the same employee lunch and learn. And if you don't believe me, Google famous Pixar team lunch and find all of the information about how that amazing story is. All 4 of these concepts were conceptualized during that same single team lunch. So this is an example of the employee positivity factor, but also a shining example of how food helps create culture. So this leads us to our next section. Healthy eating actually is contagious in a good way. So if you see others eat healthier and work out, it actually makes other individuals more likely to follow these habits ourselves. Conversely, if people have bad eating habits, it actually can be contagious itself. Remember, we're influenced by the environments and the people we surround ourselves with. So the takeaway from that, community-driven efforts by a startup, by a company, to shift those health behaviors are vital to that proper modeling of healthy habits throughout the organization. And another fact is that sharing meal times and connecting over the same foods also supports that social bonding and affection between team members. Now, this has been tough because let's be honest, we haven't been able to do a lot of that this past year. But the prevailing wisdom is that shared food experience support this team dynamic and increase the cohesiveness of a team. So as far as your company is concerned, ensuring that your employees are eating healthy and together could skyrocket that team and company performance. Now, beyond the ROI, let's look at some of the good stats and the ugly stats. Some may be thinking, well, we've got meal delivery apps that can service anything that we want and we can get them delivered and it's working for our business. So the good is that 75% of us here in Canada and in North America are actually eating healthier than they were 10 years ago. That's a great trend. I'm definitely included in this stat myself. But the ugly is that these same meal delivery apps that we've all grown so accustomed to using throughout this entire year and beyond, they actually don't favor or encourage healthy diets. There was a study that was conducted across 3 international cities, Chicago, Amsterdam, and Melbourne. So those results are showing that unhealthy options like burgers and pizza and sandwiches were the most commonly advertised options as opposed to salads and other healthy options, which showed up to 3 times less frequently. So that's showing, again, that it's an uphill battle for organizations and for employees of these organizations to get access to those resources and to the information they need. So is it worth it? If you're still not convinced that this should be a part of your strategy at any level, well, beyond all the ROI, there are other boons of a healthy workplace that are trickier to capture in cost analysis. If there's one main takeaway from this presentation, it's this. It's that employee well-being and nutrition is a precursor to a successful workplace culture, not an after effect. So in other words, it's not something that you do once you are successful and raise tons of money. It's something that you should do to enable you to be successful at any stage and build the kind of culture that resonates with your customers, with your employees, and eventually with investors. Now, what can you do? Well, when you're looking at something that you're a small company or a startup or a bootstrap company, look at what the big guys are doing and find ways to model that in your own way. So let's have a look and see what the big guys are doing. So we're all familiar with Google's wellness initiatives. They're providing fresh meals, cooking classes, nutrition programs. Accenture actually rewards employees for setting and achieving wellness-specific goals. There's another large retailer, automaker, Cummins, that offers plant-based cooking classes and nutritionist advice, and other things like healthy meal options and health-friendly vending machines, removing that temptation to be snacking and to be eating things that are super high in sodium and sugar. Now, what actionable things can you do? Well, what you can see that these large companies are doing is essentially they're enabling access and creating a condition and an environment that supports it. So enabling healthy food choices. So this could be as simple as stocking up on healthy beverages and snacks. So many products on the market right now, and cost-effective ways to add value to your employees and empower them and make it easier for them to make great choices. Build nutrition into that meeting culture through shared food experiences. So what do I mean by that? Make food and make learning about nutrition and wellness a part of those all hands meetings, a part of those huddles, something to engage the team about. It's not something that's just there to give people fuel. It's there to help you connect and help you understand the benefits of food and nutrition, not only to ourselves individually, but also how it benefits the organization overall. And setting up a juice or a smoothie program, there might be the connotation that this is something that, oh, we're a small company, there's no way we can do this, this is super expensive. It's actually not. And if you want something super actionable, there's a company here in Vancouver called Chasers. They produce custom cold pressed juice blends. They will set you up with a customized corporate juice program at any scale. All of the juices are actually processed through a really cool procedure called HPP, which gives them shelf life for up to 60 days while not losing any nutritional information. And they're at wholesale prices. So those are companies that exist that allow you to do big company things with a small company budget. If you have the ability to, ditch the unhealthy vending machine. If it's the landlord that's making the call there, suggest that it be moved or relocated or at least emptied. Another really important thing, help the employees set wellness goals and achieve them, and then recognize those efforts. Build that into your all hands meetings, build that into your team initiatives, and challenge employees to understand that being part of a healthy, high performance culture involves taking care of themselves, which will in turn take care of the organizational goals. And then, most importantly, offer health and nutrition education. It's one thing to provide the food. It's another to provide the resources for ongoing success. So you'd be amazed. The idea of having a corporate nutritionist sounds like another huge company initiative. It's actually not. There are so many resources online, talented local nutritionists who will come and join your all hands meeting, who will join your team meetings either virtually or in person for 30 minutes or an hour, and give your team actionable insights as to how they can improve, give them recipes, give them meal plans, give them a demonstration as to how this impacts their performance and what the direct benefits of food are. If anyone's curious about some local nutritionists that do this sort of work, feel free to connect with me after the webinar. I'd be happy to share references with you. But most importantly, you're looking at three main phases: enabling access, supporting efforts, and offering education. So let's quickly recap here. We've talked about what we eat and how it dictates how we feel, how we perform, and how we live. We've learned that chronic diseases preventable by nutrition intervention, they're significantly affecting your employees and eating into your profits. Food accessibility solutions like meal delivery apps are actually favoring unhealthy options. So your employees are fighting an uphill battle. Investing in healthy food is worth it. You're actually saving $6 in healthcare costs for every $1 invested. And the benefits stretch well beyond even the most rigorous and detailed ROI calculations. Remember those intangibles. Healthy food is the missing ingredient to your company's success. And food brings communities together. So that's that bond that is created by food. They're built to thrive, and they're built to be a part of your culture and the basis of any great company. And last, but certainly not least, if you're a startup, you do not have to break the bank to start committing to a healthy workplace culture today. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks, Drew, for that. And if you're good, I can read out. We do have one question so far, and I'll encourage the attendees to add any other ones that might come up. Before we jump into the questions, a question for you, Drew. Are you okay if we share this video on YouTube?
Absolutely, yes.
Excellent. Okay, so why don't we dive into the first question? The first question is, now that many companies are remote or virtual, any tips for companies to help promote health and wellness when their employees are all remote?
Yeah, this is a great question, and with the rise in the virtual workplace, there's been an equally exciting rise in ways that we can stay connected while online. Some large companies that we've seen have actually offered online group collaborative cooking classes that are done remotely, that people can cook at home. At times, they're even sent ingredients or recipe cards, and there's a chef or nutritionist that will guide them through it. These are team building activities that connect the importance of nutrition and make time out of everybody's busy schedule to at least connect and talk about it. So, while that in-person element hasn't been there this year, and it's slowly getting back there, there are ways to connect digitally through online nutrition courses, online cooking classes, and other company initiatives that are cost effective and still bring people together over that element of nutrition and bonding.